So honored to be joined by a wrestler respected and revered by his peers and his fans worldwide. You knew him as Dolph Ziggler in WWE, but today he's the TNA World Champion. It's Nic Nemeth. Nick, welcome to Under the Ring Pro Wrestling Conversations. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great. Love to ask you about your current situation in wrestling. After nearly 2 decades in WWE, you've moved on. You're the champion of TNA. You're working all over the world: U.S., Mexico, Puerto Rico. What is it like for you to be in a whole new wrestling world, and especially in TNA wrestling?
One, it's really scary because I was in a bubble for 19 and a half years and I knew everybody I was wrestling, no matter what the case was. Even if they were a call up from NXT, I at least had seen them work or been in there with them before. So for me, this is brand new. This is showing, it's like being in fourth grade and halfway through the school year, showing up at a new school and trying to figure out who your friends are and who's good and who can go. So it's been very exciting and also rewarding so far because I was very nervous to say, hey, I talked a bunch of trash for 15 years about how I'm the best. I can go with anybody. I can beat anybody. I won't get tired. I won't get stopped. I won't get hurt. I won't take days off. And then now I got to back it up. And so far, especially with TNA, it's been an absolute blast. The roster rocks. They are hardworking. They are awesome. The character pieces stand out behind the scenes, in the ring. TNA as a whole is absolutely delivering and just like on a real roll right now, and I'm happy to be a small part of that.
What have you learned being in TNA about yourself and about the promotion, and what made it the right decision for you to land there?
Uh, very long story short, I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to sign a deal. I had just got out of a long-term relationship that was 19 years long, and I said, "Listen, I'm not ready to get engaged here again." So I wanted to do some things that I never thought I would. A couple years ago, the boss said, "When you decide to hang it up, we want you here in the meetings, helping out, producing." And I just assumed that that would be it. And with about a year and a half left of my last deal, I said, I am just sitting here and I'm in the prime of my career. I'm in the best shape I am. I'm still not beat up. I go, let me go see if I can go do these matches of these heroes and people I looked up to and that I never thought I'd step in the ring with, like Tanahashi in Japan. I go, I love this guy. And I go, I will never get a chance to be in the ring with him. And because of them letting me go, after I asked very nicely several times, I got to have some really special matches that I never thought I would. I got to go check out TNA and just first and foremost, I just didn't want to say, "Hey, I was locked down for the longest time." And I just don't want to have it in a couple of months be like, I'm not helping you. I don't like it here. So I decided to not do multiple year deals. I just do like 10 or 12 dates and then re-up it as much as I keep helping and as much as I like being here. And so I said, I absolutely want to get behind TNA because I love the roster. I love the idea. I love the infrastructure, the business model, the people behind the scenes. Tommy and Gail are so great. And I already liked them before I came here. And that was part of the reason, that and the roster just being so good. And it almost like has this organic rebranding since Vegas 6-8 months ago, to where it's like 9 months ago, to where it's like people are talking about how good the show is, how good the talent is, and there's so many bits and pieces that we're just getting started. So I'm very happy to be a part of it.
You have a number of contemporaries who made similar moves at different points of their careers after long runs too. Did you pick any of their brains about what you might expect, kind of navigating these new waters?
No, I in a different way. Like for the last few years, last 4 or 5 years, I've at least been friends with people who were either lost their job and started, going out on the independents or going to a different company. And most importantly, the last like 2-3 years, Zach Ryder or Matt Cardona is someone who's like, he's been crushing the independent scene
Yeah.
and bouncing around all over. And luckily, I'm in a multiple group chats with him. So every single day for, the last year and a half, 2 years, I was like, what about this? What happens when you do this? How do you progress here? What happens? And all these bits and pieces for him, like he should be doing a class on how to become the most competent, well done independent wrestler. And I think he actually is kind of, but like having that mindset for the last year or two going, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for whatever happens. Having that finger on the pulse of people who are actually thriving on the independents. going, okay, there is a world out there. I know I can make some things happen, but now it's up to me to deliver. So I was, I really, I would never compare myself to Kurt Angle, and I never will. But like, he had two different careers. One was in TNA, one was in WWE, and man, was he an absolute badass all the way through, and still is, by the way. But I look up to him so much, and because of guys like him, I got a tryout at 5'11", 170 pounds. So because of that, I will never be that exact catalyst, but I hope that somewhere down the line, when we do the rebranding and the restructuring and become TNA, I hope that I play a part of like everybody starting to come around to go, this is the place to watch professional wrestling.
So cool for you to have such a new beginning and learning new things in different parts of your career. And it's just, it's such a great spot for you. And TNA is so interesting right now to me. Emergence is August 30th, TNA Plus from Louisville, Kentucky. A couple questions about that. First question, what does it mean for you to wrestle outside of WWE in Louisville, of all places, where you began your wrestling career?
It's pretty cool, because someone asked me if it's like a homecoming. I'm like, no, it's not. But I did live there for off and on, for a year, 2 years, and that's where I trained. My absolute, from scratch, no independence, no anything, came to WWE as a collegiate wrestler, all-time winningest wrestler in Kansas State history, no big deal. But I came there as just as a fan who wanted to give it a try, and just knowing that I got to have so much fun, so many friends from that initial time just training and learning, and then going back there, because we would bounce around and do small shows like Elizabethtown and community centers and everything around the Louisville area, where we'd take a little drive, Muncie, Indiana, things like that, to where it stands out as like, man, this is a cool thing. And I brought this up on another interview. There are some fans that would be outside the Shepherdsville Road OVW TV day at 4 p.m. And that show was at 7 or 8 o'clock. And they would be out there hardcore and be like, and you get to a point where you're like, oh, these guys again. And then you start to realize that you respect them. Like, without those fans, we have no show. So those similar fans who were waiting outside the door were the same ones when I was in WWE coming to do a live event in Louisville. They're outside waving and trying to get an autograph before you go into the building. And I go, man, they are the lifeblood of the business. Without the fans, we have no show. We have no job. So once you start to realize that and see that those people are legitimately loyal and rooting for you, it's you don't ever want to let them down in any way, shape, or form. I love that stuff.
And the match here is, what's that going to be like? You and Josh Alexander, 60-minute Ironman match. If I've got that correct, what is that going to be like?
That is accurate. Someone like me who has not gone an hour in a really long time. For years, I honed myself on never being tired, always having the stamina. I can go all night long, no matter what the situation, because of my St. Ed's wrestling training and my Kent State wrestling training. So I still have that. I still have the lungs. I could always go, because it was just, hey, listen, if you're not as good as someone else, you can try hard and maybe win and maybe have a shot. But if you're never, ever, ever tired and you can outlast them, there is a chance that you could always come from behind and make a victory. And that's so many different matches that happened for me in high school and college. And I've used that stamina here to be like, I will never, ever be tired. Fans pay money to come see us. And if I'm giving them 98% of my effort, I'm not worth it. I need to give them everything it's worth, just so they go, damn, that was great. I want to come back. So this match is an hour-long Ironman match. It is basically Alexander's match. Like, it's his go-to. It's his thing. And it's something that 5, 6, 7 years ago, I'd been like, this is going to be easy. But I'm like, the training won't change for me, because I never stop. I don't train and take it down a notch and go here and take time off. There's no off season. Don't get hurt. I don't take time off, but I always go 7 days a week one way or another. And if I miss a day because of travel or some weird issues, or I'm sick or have a bad injury that I'm working on, the next day I'll do 2 workouts, because I will always have that and be ready to go. So I want the audience to know that not only am I always fighting to be the best, I will not give you less than 100%. So this is going to be a showcase of 2 guys who do not want to be outdone by the other, and that will make it an extra special match. Hour-long match, and in this day and age, to keep people's attention, you got to be good. You can't be okay. You can't be pretty good. You can't be pretty damn good. You got to be the best. Otherwise, people are changing the channel or taking a walk. So I promise you, we will absolutely deliver, and you know we can.
And Josh Alexander is great in his own right. What does he bring to the table in your eyes? You've gotten to get in there with him a little bit now, and now you're going to be very intimately familiar with his work.
Very much, yeah. It's from just from an outsider standpoint, I could just see the mentality that he had. You can see it in people's eyes. You can see it in their body movements. And we've had a little bit of ring time together, and it's been. And I go, you feel him, and you just feel that intensity in his body, and you know that I don't know that this is the case, but I feel that he has that chip on his shoulder, like, I'm the best in the world. Why isn't the entire world talking about me? And I go, get in line, brother. We're all thinking that. We're all trying to be the best. So when you grab onto somebody, you can sometimes feel almost in amateur wrestling, you feel like, uh-oh, I can't move this guy. He's stronger. Oh, this person's moving better than I can. I better switch my game plan up. I know that he can absolutely go. So looking forward to this and not being in there too much with him. Luckily for me, I haven't tipped my hat on like ways I'll go. So I get to watch a couple Ironman matches he's had in the past and look for tells and use my mental acuity to come out on top. Like, oh, when he gets tired, he goes for this hold. Oh, when he takes a step back, that means he needs a breath of air. All these little pieces that I can check out and totally use against him, he doesn't have the footage to check on me. So I really think when it comes down to two workhorses who can absolutely go and will not be tired, I'm telling you, it's going to come down to a mental game. Who's the strongest? And I'm telling you right now, I don't know anybody who's mentally stronger than me in this business.
Very, very good. And yeah, like, to your point too, like there's so much great wrestling all around in wrestling right now. So this gives you guys such
a cool boom time for fans.
Blank canvas for you.
And we get to go steal a show an hour long. And if we do our job right, people are going to be talking about it for years.
I noticed on the lineup of this show too, you've got the Ultimate X match, and it features Riley Osborne of Chase U and NXT. It's got to be pretty wild to be where you've been, end up in TNA, and immediately an unprecedented working agreement happens that I would have never called in a million years. Something you looked at 15 years ago, you go, okay, that's got no shot of ever happening. What did you think when you saw this happen? You spent some time in NXT too. You were the NXT champion with when you beat Braun Breaker at the Stand and Deliver, the big card there. So what do you think of this whole crossover? I think it's great. I love the imagination you could just go with this. I
would say that's the hugest part is just one, if it wasn't beneficial for both companies, it would not be a deal. But clearly it is, and it's working, and it's catching on and clicking, and everyone's talking about it. And then every Tuesday and every Thursday, you don't know who's going to show up from one of the other companies and be on the show. So it's almost must see. You can't DVR it and watch it later or watch clips online. You got to go for it. And I really appreciate that. But it is really a boom time when people like have like the tribalism to where they're like, I only like this show and these other guys aren't doing it right. And it's like, listen, all of us are friends with everybody in every company, and we're all just trying to do our best. Like, we don't like, oh, I can't wait for these guys to go out of business because I hate, like, we all have really good friends, and just because of the boom time, because of all the companies being so successful at the same time, it's great for just possibly like negotiating a contract, deciding where you want to go, not having to go like, I got to stay in this company for the next 5 years because I'm stuck. It is, you can bounce around, you can use the other companies, and you can just go, this is a fantastic time for professional wrestling, no matter what the case is. Every guy and every gal is a renaissance man or woman, and they can talk, they can walk, they can do the gymnastics, they can do the high flying, they can tap you out in the middle of the ring, they can back it up on in an interview, doing media, on the street, talking trash, or fighting in a back room. You have to be all of those pieces. And then you got a chance at being on top of one of these companies. So what a great time for fans. And just remember that every once in a while when you're mad about something or you got to complain or you think you got to pick a team like it's politics and you got to defend them no matter what, just know that we love wrestling and all of our friends are at every single company trying to do their best. And the best thing that's happening right now is that all those companies exist.
I think wrestling fans have more in common with each other than they realize, and we've heard that on news channels all.
It's just like politics. Like behind the scenes, we're all like everyone's picking a team, and then, meanwhile, it's like it's all the same thing, and we all want the same stuff. 80% of us. It's like ridiculous.
Nice. We're going to move on to something we call a 3 count now. It's going to be 3 quick questions and your answers. First question: what's it like wrestling alongside your brother, Ryan Nemeth?
Pretty awesome. Very cool. Never thought it was going to happen. It didn't work out. It's been 20 years it took to get it. But when it did, it was great because mentally we both kind of flow with each other. And in this case, to watch that transfer to the ring is pretty great. I'm sure we have several more matches and stories and long-term plans to go.
Second question: you have a bunch of you have a lot of interest in the political arena too. Anything on the conventions you'd transfer over to pro wrestling, or anything from pro wrestling that you transfer over to the conventions?
You know what? I was what the hell was I doing? So I missed a couple things when the RNC was in Cleveland. I was lucky enough to go check it out, interview some people. But the last couple nights, I'm trying to think. Georgia, when they were just doing their roll call and doing their voting last night or 2 nights ago?
Because I missed it 'cause I was traveling actually.
Yeah, they've really embraced the professional wrestling aspect of it. Both parties, but I think DNC has really taken advantage of that and really stood out when it's like you don't always have to think inside the box. You don't have to be this stuffy thing just because that's the way we always did it. And I really feel like I didn't watch it, but I saw a couple clips online. Just knowing that you have like professional rappers and people making it a show and making it fun, making it seem like you're missing out if you're not there. That is something really special, no matter what, whether it is a baseball game, a concert, or just letting people know that's my DNC or that's my RNC, and because I'm rooting for this guy or I'm rooting for this gal, and it really stands out. And you go to see, like me, someone who watches every movie, TV show, interview, DNC, RNC, when you see that, you go, oh, that is a professional wrestling thing that they took blatantly because they know how much fun it is to be at a professional wrestling show. So I love when it's, oh, that's taken directly from a WrestleMania moment a few years ago. Like, I love seeing that stuff because that is what it is now. It's nobody cares about policy, sadly, except for me. Nobody cares about policy. It's about who got the most likes and was talked about the most and least dunked on memes on social media, sadly. But
yeah, it's strange.
That's another conversation that we can get into for 6 hours, but yeah, that's the deal.
Strangely, I found myself fantasy booking James Taylor's scratch being a swerve leading to Taylor Swift at the DNC on Thursday nights to my mother earlier today. I'm like, why am I fantasy booking this right now? But if it happens, this is launching on Monday. So if it happened, I said it first on Wednesday to Nic Nemeth right now. Last question. I was in attendance for one of the biggest moments of your career live, your first world heavyweight title win in East Rutherford in April of 2013. What is your favorite moment of someone else's career that you got to witness in person?
It wasn't in person, but I got to watch it. But Kofi Mania, I was sitting on the bench. I got to watch the entire build up with it because I am very focused on stories and things meaning stuff. And it was just watching it over and over, and every step of the way getting another barricade put in his way. And I go, I don't know what the payoff is in a few months. I don't know what the situation is. I don't know if he's going to almost win the big one, but no matter what happens, the build and this story to a guy who's a friend of mine, I don't use the F word too often. He's a friend of mine, but also someone that we had a best of 500 series. Sometimes people cared about our matches. Sometimes we didn't have any, story or reason to be fighting. We were just constantly fighting because we were good wrestlers. And his best of 500 series, I think he won 497-3. But who's counting? But it was just to see that all go down and then just have everybody start to realize what he's done for wrestling, what he's done for WWE. Like, he's one of the most beloved guys, the last true baby face. He's never been a heel. I love it. He's the Ricky Steamboat of our generation. So rooting for him and then watching him win that championship, man, and what that meant for so many other people, like, that was such a cool moment. And the cool moments I'd rather have for my friends and rather remember those because I can remember. If I'm not sure what I do, I ask TJ Wilson. I'm like, hey, what did I do in November 14th, 2016? He'd be like, oh, you had this match against this guy. I'm like, okay, great, thanks, because I don't remember anything.
Yeah, luckily being in New York, I had the opportunity to be at the Kofi Mania thing too, so that was also a very cool awesome moment to be at. So Emergence August 30th on TNA Plus from Louisville, Kentucky, 60-minute Ironman match. Nic Nemeth versus Josh Alexander for the TNA Championship. Nic Nemeth, thank you so much for joining me today on Under the Ring Pro Wrestling Conversations. I have really enjoyed this, and I would love to do it again.
Sounds good, man. Let's do it. I love it. I love being an ambassador for TNA and anything you got going forward. I love just talking about, like, I'm like all jumpy and worked up because I just love doing the media for this place that I love. I know that I got some interesting stuff coming up, but that Emergence is going to be a special show. And I love that it's in a very wrestling oriented city. That's awesome. What a great place for wrestling. Louisville Gardens used to be there. It's going to be a great show.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.